Hey, welcome back to Overhead Athletics. Max Wardell here. Today we're talking about elbow decompression. And the reason we're talking about this is because we've done some stuff with posterior elbow impingement in the past on YouTube, and we see a lot of elbow patients because throwing athletes get impingement in their elbow. And you can actually have anterior impingement as well, or anterior elbow pain as well. And sometimes that feels like a dull, achy sensation in the front of the elbow. Sometimes you get impingement in the back. And the elbow doesn't really tolerate these end ranges of motion, whether that's extension or flexion. And what we want to start doing is giving the elbow the ability to kind of tolerate some more motion. And we can't do that right away by just cramming it into the end range, but we can do it in kind of an open pack, loose pack position. And the loose pack position for the elbow, open pack position, meaning where the joints have the most ability to slide and glide on each other, is about 70 degrees of flexion with slight supination, maybe 10 or 20 degrees of that. So we kind of come right into that exact same position, drop it down, band right here on the front of the elbow. I'm going to actually have this elbow completely relaxed, grab it with the other hand, and the band is right below the line of the elbow there, and it's pulling down on an angle. Now, my right arm in this scenario is completely relaxed, and the left arm is holding the right, and I'm just getting a little bit of decompression of the elbow joint itself. If I tense up and use my bicep or I push with my tricep, it's not going to allow that elbow to gap because the muscles create a compression load on the elbow itself. So just standing here and kind of leaning away, I get a little offloading of joint surfaces. Now, I'm not thinking about 6 millimeters of separation between joint surface or anything like that, but rather just eliminating the compressive load on those structures. If I have pinching or pain in the back of the elbow, this is an effective technique. If I have pinching or dull achiness in the front of the elbow, this is a very effective technique, and it's nice and relaxed. So the day after I pitch, I've got a little pinching in the back of my elbow. I just spend a little time just kind of leaning away, stretching that elbow out. Now, if that gives me an issue, I can always try a different variation, which instead of pulling on the lower bone, I can pull on this upper bone. And the way I do that is on all fours. I'm going to show you right here, where I'm going to take this band above the point on my elbow, and I'm going to come out, and I can keep my elbow in relative flexion, or I can slowly let it extend. And this is a little more intense than the last variation, but I can apply a compressive load here. And I can actually load through my forearm and allow that elbow to start to extend with a little bit of mobilization pressure here. I'm kind of in this extended position, just stretching, offloading that joint surface a little bit, but I'm applying a little bit of compression, which is often really nice for the elbow for somebody that has impingement. Now, I'm going to show on the other side, just for demonstration purposes, if I have a little pain in flexion and I want to offload that a little bit, I can't really get as much right here because I'm pulling that humerus bone into the hook. But if I flex my elbow, take it right down into the crease, and then kind of come across, I can get a little bit of that vector, and I'll lean this way to try to pull that humerus this way. Now, it only works if I'm in probably about 120 degrees of flexion, and I can do it up here as well. If I'm in about 120 degrees of flexion, I can start to decompress that elbow here. But I think if you have a flexion-related issue, you're going to do much better with this variation because it's pulling on the ulna and the radius, kind of a looser position. As you come up higher, you should really probably try to pull on that humerus and lock it in with your other arm. But once again, it's not going to be as effective. So I like the extension variation above the elbow, and I like the flexion variation or the general variation with the band below the elbow. And if you really are having a problem in flexion, come up into flexion and leave the band up above the point of the elbow here and get a little bit of a mobilization in this position. This arm, whichever arm you're mobilizing, has to be as relaxed as possible if you're going to be able to do it with the band yourself. But that's how we start to decompress the elbow. And do not comment on this video with how many sets, how many reps. I had a broken elbow 17 years ago, and now my elbow's deformed, and I didn't do anything about it. Can you fix me? No, I can't fix you, and no, I can't tell you how many sets and reps. Do it throughout the day. Play around with it a little bit. If it feels better, do it more. If it feels worse, don't do it so much, and kind of feel where you're at. And I like the idea of just intermittently throughout the day, 3, 4, 5 times. But do not comment on here and say that my elbow is deformed because I fractured my olecranon or I fractured my humerus 17 years ago, and now my elbow's been bent at 30 degrees for 20 years and I can't get it there. It's not going to get to there with this stretch. But if you're getting a little bit of impingement in that end range flexion or extension, this is a great way to just start to offload those joint surfaces and get a little bit of opening up of that elbow joint and decompression. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, maybe even hit the bell for notifications. We'll see you guys in the next video.